Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. As the U.S. prepares for the upcoming year 2021, there are apparently many challenges we are facing. It seems as though the radical left wants to keep the people locked in their homes in various cities and states around this union, using the coronavirus as a stay safe measure. I want to remind the radical left that there is now an effective vaccine, which now is also now being used by Britain. Leader Boris there is using that in the United Kingdom. Now we have Dr. Fauci coming out saying that he don't think that until maybe summer next year we'll be able to go to any type of football games or basketball games or anything else like that. What I say to you, I say leave us alone, Dr. Fauci. We don't need big brother or big sister government or the media telling us what we should do. They constantly got on about President Trump, about the science. The science has been proven. He created a vaccine. You got people in this country ignoring the fact that he has had Pfizer and several other companies create vaccines in his Operation Warp Speed, and they're ignoring that. You don't hear about it hardly in the mainstream media. The spread has been slowed. There's no need to slow it any further. Stop trying to nullify our First Amendment rights, Democrat Party. Stop trying to nullify our Second Amendment rights as well, or anything dealing with the Constitution. This is not China. This is not communist China. This coming year, we will be fighting for our freedoms, and we should use avenues available to us, every avenues. Don't take it lying down, people. This is a free country. The Democrats wanted to keep blacks enslaved in 1865, and they want to keep you locked up in your house now, black, white, in between, or whatever. They wanted to deny us our civil rights in 1964. And somewhere in there, they had this thing called the Jim Crow laws, which also caused segregation across the South. And then you have Joe Biden, which everybody wants to ignore this. He's corrupt. He's got corruption all around him with his family members. But there's some other things that have nothing to do with corruption other than the fact that he backed busing back in the 70s or 60s or 70s. I'm not sure what time. I think it was in the 70s. And he spoke highly of his brother, Robert Byrd, a Klan leader. People who are constantly shouting racism are normally racist themselves. The Democrat leadership loves to divide this country, just as Obama did when he was in office. Though they can carry on their underhanded dealings, it's called distract. They distract you from what they're doing by throwing a bunch of other stuff out there. If you ever watch the media when something's going on and President Trump is doing something good or somebody else is doing something good, you see all this other stuff all of a sudden pop up in the media. You're like, why are they talking about this for? Shouldn't we be talking about this other thing? Whatever happened to Hunter Biden and the laptops? It was out there for a little while. Then the New York Post was silenced by the media, that social media that tries to be a publisher, which hopefully someday they will get them and they will make them pay for doing that. Make them pay big time in their underhanded dealings. This is a distraction. It's just like when the upcoming elections were coming up here, we got President Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden was never anywhere close to President Trump, but yet you hear it in the media, you hear the lie. This has been done in a lot of nations, guys, all over the world. They start off telling you during the year that the race is close, it's close, it's close. The race was never close. They were setting you up for this garbage that's going on right now, which we've already proven that there's fraud all over the place. Attorney General Barr, you need to wake up. And I know somebody's holding a gun to your head. I know they are. Because all of a sudden now you're weak. You back down. You're scared of the deep state. So now you won't say what really is true. But you need to get on the right track. Or else maybe we need to replace you as the Attorney General. The Democrat leadership loves this country to be divided. They love it. But the presidential race, as I said earlier, was never close. It was never close. President Trump won by a landslide. You look at states like Florida, Texas, President Trump didn't have any problem. You know why? Because we didn't allow the Dominion system, these computer games that they play in our states. Florida's governor refused to do it, and so did our governor, Governor Abbott. So keep watching, people, and keep listening. But listen with wisdom. Don't just take everything you hear. We have a media now that's obsessed with lies. That's all they do. They lie. They are liars. It's like, what happened to the truth? I can't wait till somebody comes out and starts talking about this thing with Hunter Biden again. Why has this been swept under the rug? Just because former Vice President Biden was running for president? If you're crooked, you're crooked. That makes no difference what office you're running for. You attack President Nixon. You attack any other president, Republican especially. But what happened? Why now all of a sudden we want to protect somebody who isn't even the president? I'm telling you, some heads are going to roll. And Joe Biden, former President Obama, you've gotten away with a lot, people. I'm telling you something, though. We have a God that equals things out. And he's going to make things straight. He's going to make things right. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. We'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. In the news today, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos slammed the increased demand for student debt forgiveness. While addressing a virtual conference Tuesday, DeVos said higher education policies should never entice students into greater debt, nor should they put taxpayer dollars at greater risk. She went on to say college counselors would become rationers who would allot state-approved higher education options. DeVos said this is the left's move forward with free college. Higher education would begin to resemble a failing K-12 school with the customer service of the DMV. That's good, Sister DeVos. Higher education policy should never entice students into greater debt, and I agree with him. Matter of fact, some of these tuition costs are just absolutely too high. We need to put a cap on that as well. There are too many politicians today who support that policy and that does both. Ultimately, nothing is free. Somebody somewhere pays the bill, and that is a fact. DeVos argued also that it is unfair to make the almost 2/3 of Americans who don't go to college pay for the 1/3 who do. She went on to the point that ultimately nothing is free, and it's true. Nothing is free. And we get this. Somebody's got to pay for it. Salvation was free to us, but only because Jesus gave his life, and he bled upon the cross, and he died for our sins. That's the only way that we receive salvation. But it cost him everything. But he made it easy for us. But we just need to walk in the truth. And unfortunately, we have a media that stays nowhere near the truth. You know, it's so sad. My last program that I did last night was, I was just so out of it over the fact that there's so many lies out there. You can't even turn on a TV, on a mainstream media and get the truth. You get a bunch of lies, a bunch of hype. You get a bunch of people pushing out opinion instead of news, instead of the truth. One newsroom put out an article. Whistleblowers in Virginia recently chose to speak out in the effort to preserve election integrity. Did you hear about this on the news? No. Well, One American News brought it out. The Amistad Project of the Thompson More Society law firm held a press conference Tuesday where a number of whistleblowers gave eyewitness testimony on election fraud in key battleground states. Of course, the mainstream media says that there is no fraud. You got A.G. Barr saying there's no fraud. I don't know what Kool-Aid these people are drinking or what they're looking at. You're looking at people and you're calling our citizens, A.G. Barr, liars. You're calling our citizens liars. President Trump didn't pay these people to say what they said. They saw what they saw and they came out on it. We need to do something about this. You and the DOJ and the FBI, which are full of criminals anyway. The Almstead Project had uncovered hundreds of thousands of ballots affected by election fraud in 5 states, including Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. They have demanded election officials send logs and videos of ballot handlers at several polling locations, especially mail-in ballot drop boxes. Several whistleblowers were subcontractors with the United States Postal Service. And they alleged that they faced problems working with the department. One man from Wisconsin claimed he saw only one ballot go out on November 2nd. One ballot, and none on election day. On November 4th, however, the day afterwards, the local USPS chapter declared there were at least 100,000 ballots missing. And this is not fraudulent? This is not irregular? Why are we coming with another 100,000 ballots on the day after the election? Another subcontractor from New York City, or New York State, said he experienced weird behavior at 2 Pennsylvania USPS locations. He explained that the officials from the first location held him there for more than 6 hours and didn't allow him to unload his trailer. Then at the second location, USPS officials took his whole trailer when he went to pick up his truck. They took his whole trailer. What for? What was in that trailer? Well, we knew there was mail, but it probably was ballots that were falsified and duplicated. There were some even in the that came out in Arizona and said that some ballots look like they, and don't, if you're black or African American, this was an African American woman. She said it looked like that they actually put something in a copy machine and copied the ballots. This comes as Republican lawmakers throughout the country are hearing the Trump campaign's case for widespread voter fraud. Meanwhile, campaign officials are asking for a recount in Wisconsin and signature audit from Georgia election officials. Why won't they show? Will they not be transparent? What are they hiding? They're hiding some people. People who are honest and doing things truthfully don't have anything to hide. But if you have something to hide, close your eyes. Don't look over here. Don't look at me. Don't look at this. Don't look at that. This is the way criminals behave. And this is the way our Democrat Party, unfortunately, is behaving right now. And the legislators, the governors, Democrat governors, and Brian Kemp, you need to let them check those signatures on those ballots and stop this fooling around. Because when it goes down, Mr. Kemp, you better get it straight. Because if it goes down, you're going down with it. Georgia has a very bad reputation of racism themselves. Anybody remember George Wallace? Took a shooting to get him straightened out. So George Wallace was a racist. Yes, he was a well-known racist. But he was a Democrat, people. Anybody remember that? All the Republicans are racist. There may be some racists in the Republican Party, or people who discriminate, who knows. But what I'm saying is, you get people who are racist who are pointing the finger at people they want to be racist, but they won't join them in their craziness. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. My name is David Colbert. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin urged Congress to provide small business aid. Top economic officials are urging Congress to provide more aid to small businesses, of which I am one, that have taken a hit due to the statewide lockdowns in the mid-coronavirus pandemic. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell were back on Capitol Hill on Tuesday, urging the lawmakers to agree on another economic stimulus package. While speaking to the Senate Banking Committee, Mnuchin said small businesses are in dire need of assistance and could be helped by another round of funding to the Paycheck Protection Program, which helped bolster the economy earlier this year. The president and I, he says, that the restaurants had been unfairly targeted, and I'd urge Congress to support another $300 billion in PPP, stated the secretary. This would help, would have a real impact on these restaurants who need grants. They don't need loans. Some of that money, he urged, could be repurposed from funds he was clawing back from the Fed programs, which are set to expire at the end of the year. His decision to shut some emergency lending programs has sparked outrage from Democrats. Yeah, outrage. See, the Democrats don't care about you guys. You got here, you vote for these idiots. They don't care nothing about you. Whenever it comes to helping you, they say, screw you. It has particularly set off a testy exchange between the Treasury Secretary and Senator Sherrod Brown. Get him out of office there in Ohio, people. He don't care about you. Who accused the administration of sabotaging the economy as president's first term nears an end. However, Mnuchin fired back. My decision to not extend these facilities was not an economic decision, he stated. I'm surprised to hear Senator Brown use words like sabotage. No legitimate justification, delusional, malpractice. It's time for action. And that's what Mnuchin said. It's time for action. Mnuchin reiterated that he's within his rights to withdraw the money from the Fed's controls. According to reports, the CARES Act requires unused funds to be pulled back from the lending program. Despite not agreeing with the decision, Powell highlighted the importance of bringing much-needed aid to businesses floundering during the pandemic. What we're hearing is that there are a lot of small businesses that are at risk of going out of business during this winter, which could be tough. A few months, he stated. I went out of business. Destroyed my business way back in the last one in March. There are parts of the economy that will need help or might need help to get that last span of bridge in place to get to the other side of the pandemic. And that's kind of how we feel as small business owners. We feel like, hey, what is this? Now, I've gotten this far and all of a sudden I need help to get over the hump. They should say. After weeks of deadline, a bipartisan group of lawmakers have put together a new stimulus package. Oh, man, it's about time. Well, we're going to take another short break. We'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. The GOP Representative Mo Brooks challenged the certification of electoral college votes. He says he will challenge the electoral college vote when Congress plans to certify the results on January 6th. On Wednesday, the Alabama lawmaker told reporters he will likely challenge the certification process even if no one else joins him. In order to force Congress to bring the matter to a vote, one senator and one House representative must challenge the electorate. So far, it's not clear if any senators plan to contest the Electoral College results. And I would call on Senator Mitt Romney. Senator Mitt Romney, you need to go ahead and challenge this Electoral College results. Because I already know you're probably planning on running in 2024. So you better challenge it now so to get it straight. So when you go to run in 2024, you won't have as many problems. This comes just weeks after Brooks spoke on the House floor where he highlighted that Congress certifies the election. Earlier, he says, I cited constitutional and federal law mandating that Congress, not the Supreme Court, determines whether to accept or reject the Electoral College votes. He stated, and Congress, not the Supreme Court, has the final verdict on presidential elections. In my most recent House floor speech, I shared my personal experience as a voter fraud and election theft target when in 1982, as a Republican candidate for Alabama House District 18, Democrats sought to steal the election by rigging voting machines. Wow. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign has continued to challenge the election results while making their case before courts and the state legislative officials. Let me tell you something that's been a fact in the history of this nation, and even in the history of the world, people. There's always a good and there's always a bad. There's always a good, there's always an evil. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party falls on the side of the evil. They're always trying to figure out some kind of way to circumvent the process. This is why in the beginning of this year, early last year, they sought to go around and change the mind on the legislatures trying to deal with election results. They had lawyers that can't. Nobody say anything about that. Why did the media talk about that? Why do you hear about that in the mainstream media? Why do you hear about all their lawyers going throughout the nation trying to get people to take mail-in votes? They did. They went to almost every state to try to get mail-in votes to be taken. But a lot of the states refused. They got a few states that went along with it. That was enough. They got a few states enough that they could perpetrate the fraud that they perpetrated on the American people. Very sad. It's a very sad thing. You know, I would be very upset if I went to the poll to vote and I got there and they say I already voted and I know I haven't been to vote nowhere. But this is the kind of foolishness that has been going on in this presidential election. Hundreds of thousands of votes with Biden the only one circled on it. No other candidate whatsoever. No senators, no whatever. Nobody else on the ballot but a ballot with a Biden check. Hundreds, thousands of them. And this is not fraud. Voters you got absentee ballots going out in Michigan that are thousands less than the ones that came back. And Barr, you said there's no fraud. Shame on you. Shame on you, Attorney General Barr. Shame on you, all the media that's trying to say there's no fraud. We know that you got your hand in the Democrat pocket. And you're getting paid. That's why you're always on the side against the leadership of this country, against President Trump. You loved him when he was on your networks. He brought millions of dollars into your sorry networks through his program, The Apprentice. He brought millions of dollars to you people. But when he decided to run for president, you attacked him like he was your worst enemy. Well, this is the America we live in, people. You don't watch out, they'll come behind you and slit your throat. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to stand up for the process. And we're going to stand up as people in this country, as patriots. We need to stand. We need to do that. What they say, stop the steal. Stop the steal. I tell you, I don't know. I lived here in America all my life. But if they allow this mess to go through, I don't know what I'm going to do. This might be a free country, supposedly. But if you start stuff like this, you turn it into a communist nation. And that's what the Democrat Party wants. They want a socialist nation. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert. And until next time, we have an interview tomorrow night. And be glad to, tomorrow night we'll have an interview. And we're going to be discussing all the issues and events of the day. And then join us also on Saturday as we have CTM Newsweek with Catherine Daigle as well. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us here on a Black Conservative Voice. And as I always like to say, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.